Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and our next project, and not like our project, but a customer's vehicle here. We got a 2011 GMC Sierra that is suffering from, well, New England rust. Basically what we got to do today is we're just trying to patch this thing up and get this thing going for this customer so they can run it another couple years. Basically the cross member in the rear that the shock's attached to is completely rotted off. The shock's ripped right off it. So we got a replacement section that we got to cut out and or weld in the new one. We got a new Reese hitch so she can tow her boat when we're done because hers is all rotted. And then obviously we can take the bed off to get to all these things, and hopefully we don't find anything else. All the cross members on the bed are rotted as well, so we're going to replace those at the same time. So this is not a direct how-to, but we'll kind of take you through some of the things you see up here in New England and what we're dealing with. So I'm going to get this thing inside so we can show you what we're dealing with, but check the hitch out. All right, so I will definitely get this inside here and on the lift so you can really see it. But the hitch itself, like it's like that all over. It's sketchy. So we're gonna bring it inside and get the bed off this thing. I anticipate all the hardware to break or cut it off or whatever we got to do so we can get this thing off the truck and flipped over so we can work the bed rails, and then we'll have access to the frame at that point as well, and hopefully not find anything else. Alrighty, we got it up on the lift here. You can kind of see a little bit better what, yeah, the light's not even working. Yeah, gone. And she tows her boat with this, so we need to get that out of there. That is not a safe thing to be towing with. So as part of this, we're doing the hitch. Hopefully, I had them soaking last night. I actually put some, why does this keep dying? Penetrating oil on the fasteners versus cutting them off. We do have to lower the spare. Hopefully that comes down, because that is in our way as well, because that's the cross member right there that we have to cut out and replace. And we have a kit, and hold on, let me see if I can show you. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Look at the holes in that cross member. Gone. The shock tower is literally ripped right off. And then the bump stop itself, it's not structural to the frame, so we're gonna clean that up and get rid of that because she's not overloading this clearly. And yeah. So, oh yeah, all the bed rails. We're gonna be taking care of all these too. So I got a full kit from Dorman. We're gonna get this bed off, flip it upside down, and get those cut out and replaced. And then there's one tender spot on this cross member here, and it's just in this corner. The rest of it appears to be very structurally sound. So hopefully that is the case. I'm okay with that. It's not gonna affect the truck, as well as one little tender spot down here below the tank. The rest of it's structurally sound. We might actually open that up to an oval and turn it into a frame drain and clean the dirt and debris out of that. Because the last thing we're gonna do when this is all done is scale it down and oil undercoat it to get her back, get her a couple more years out of this thing. So that's the goal. But first things first, I'm gonna get the spare down, then we're gonna get the trailer lights unplugged, we'll try to get the hitch off, and then we'll focus on the bed. All right, quick backstory on this truck. Customer came to us because well, they can't afford a new truck and they knew their truck needed some help, and we brought it in here. So I've had it in here prior to and put it up on a lift so we can kind of scope it out with the chance that we're going to find more when we get this bed off. But we gave it a good look and we scaled around. So that's how we got to where we are now. We didn't just like, oh yeah, you need A, B, and C. No, the truck was here. We spent an hour going through it to really look over like the rust repair. That's it, not the rest of the truck mechanically or anything. But so with that being said, let's see if the spare comes down. All right, you can see it as I see it, because it doesn't always come down. Oh, I see movement. Actually, it's a good idea to put the camera like this. I can see movement. Oh yeah, it's coming down. Now that is a good sign. All right, so I'm gonna take the tailgate off too. Just one less thing to be working around. I would normally say, yeah, let's pop the taillights out and disconnect them that way, but the structure behind the taillights is compromised. Not sure that, I'm not sure I'm gonna pop them out. We'll see. I'm gonna get it back in the air and see if it's possible to pop them out. All right, so now that you got the spare tire down, the tailgate off, we're gonna go ahead and, well, before we unbolt the hitch, I'll try to unbolt the hitch. I'm gonna find the main harness to the lighting on the bed and just unplug it from here and then leave the rest here. So the bed will come off with all its electronics. The other thing we gotta do is get into this fuel filler neck and get that unscrewed so that will stay here when we lift the bed off as well. So a couple little things before we can get to the bed bolts. All right, so it's the 2 middle plugs that go to the bed wiring themselves for the taillights. There was one extra wire that was hardwired. It goes to some accessory up there. I snipped that off, so we'll have to reconnect that when we're done. Now we'll attempt to get these trailer hitch bolts out. Yeah. All right, normally I'd use my Milwaukee electric, but we're going air with the air cat because it has more oomph. So we'll see what this will do. Well, the impact gun is helping with the rust scaling. You ain't seen nothing yet. But in my defense, I did soak the hardware in this PV blaster. This stuff, honestly, I've used Silicroil, I've used some higher, more expensive stuff. This is our favorite penetrating oil, and it works. And I'm not even joking. I'm gonna put a link in the description because it works that well. We buy it right on Amazon, this big can, and it's cheap. Oh, that is gross. Yeah, that was not safe to be towing on. Eesh. On the fuel neck, you've got 2 Torx bits, I believe that's it, as well as this push pin or body clip, whatever you want to call it. And this will stay here and the body will come off. All right, so again, not a direct how-to, but we're to the point now we're gonna take bed bolts out. I did go ahead off camera, what the paint star, is take the tunnel cover that's rolled up in the front off, because at the end of the day, once I get this bed off, we're gonna go ahead and flip it over on the ground so we can work it upside down, make replacing these rails far easier. Now, with that being said, we got all the bolts to take the bed off. Now, hopefully they come out, but it's a possibility they're not gonna come out. Definitely gonna want some brake hoses before long. And yeah, if they don't, they break, we gotta cut them off, whatever, I don't care. That's all going away. We're gonna have new hardware, everything. So that's not gonna be an issue. We just gotta get this thing off of here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to zip all these bolts out of here. Then we're gonna come in with the tractor. I have a way of doing it, put some metal across underneath the bed rails, come in and just pick it straight up, I think. Okay, update is the rear 2 bed bolts came out. 3 of the 4 front bed bolts broke right off, which is fine because we're getting all new fasteners. And then we have 1 over here, at least it's opposite the fuel tank, that is just completely rotted inside here. Yeah. And we're gonna get the torch out and burn the head off of that thing. And then the bed is free. All right, I can't find the original pieces of tubing I used to do this, so we gotta cut these down to 68 inches. And basically, 1 will set there, 1 will set up there. It's gonna just kind of catch underneath the bed rail. And we're gonna come in with our tractor with this thing up in the air. Get this thing all set up when it's in the air, and the forks are underneath this. Then we're gonna go ahead and lower the lift down. Then you get a nice controlled, even lowering of the bed off the truck. You're not trying to do it with the tractor. It works pretty slick. So let me get this set up. Okay, trusty Bobcat's in position. Would use a skid steer, but that broke on the job last week, so I gotta fix it. Now, in theory, everything's up high enough, and if this bed isn't stupid stuck, it will lift off as we lower the truck. Oh my God. Yeah. There we go. Looks like she's completely free. Up the frame. Don't step under a loader. Bad move. All right, mention this real quick too. As you're lifting, make sure that your wires, everything are disconnected and out of the way. Take a good look underneath there. Make sure you are able to come straight up, and we are looking good. All right, so normally I would be able to move this and get this whole thing done by myself with the tractor or skid steer or whatever. However, the other big project we have going, this custom switch and go body, it is so heavy, I had to just drag it there. I couldn't pick it up with the tractor. So I had to I blocked myself in is what I'm saying. I can't get that out. So my neighbor's coming over. We're gonna pick that up. We're gonna set it over here on a blanket and lay it down upside down. Therefore, I can work it. All right, yeah, as expected, she is a crusty. And this is the main culprit right here, the section of frame we gotta cut out and replace, because that is the upper shock mount that is no longer attached. You can hear it rattling around on the bed. So basically, we're gonna cut this all out. It's a kit we bought that makes it a little bit easier, a little bit faster. we'll lose that ground because we'll have to cut this off and re-weld it and yada, yada, yada. Initial inspection, yeah, the frame is really crusty. I'm going to go ahead. This is pieces of the bed right here laying above the tank. We're going to blow this all out of here for the initial blowdown to get some of the heavy crap off, see what we're dealing with. Take my hammer, make sure that we have nothing else that's too rotted to the point where we can't salvage it. We're trying to buy her a few more years. And then we'll get into repairing the frame. And then we're going to finish scaling the frame out. And then this will get all oil undercoated and replacing the bed rails as well. All right, that's about 20 minutes of just using the our spiral compressed air. The thing works great. It's cleaning scale off, real loose stuff. We're still going to needle gun all this and to get this heavy stuff off, then blow it down again and vacuum out all these pine needles and stuff, because that is the problem that causes, that causes all this. Remove this wiring out of the way, unbolt that from our shock so we can get this piece cut out. My neighbor come over, he helped me move the bed and get it flipped over. And as you can see, the bed rails are toast, except the front one. The bolts both broke, but if I can salvage the bolts out of there, we may not have to replace that one and save the customer a little bit of money. We'll see how it goes. But definitely that one, and that one. The whole bed overall, that fender's really rusted. She's just trying to get by, like I said, all around the taillight and stuff. That's why I wouldn't take the taillights out. We're going to give it a good oil undercoat when we're done, but she's rough. She's definitely rough. All right, the initial blowdown is all done now. I got the shock out of the way. I got the wiring disconnected. I'm going to have to get that bolt out because I'll have to put a new ground on here. We're going to be welding this to the new piece. I'm going to go ahead and get the needle gun out now, and I'm going to go at this thing with the needle gun for a little while and try to get some of the heavy scale off some of these areas. We'll get it up in the air. We're going to give this thing one more inspection to make sure we're good to go before we weld that one section and make sure we don't have to get anything else coming for it. And yeah, rust repair, anyone out there, like, it's a messy job. And you Southern boys, you're like, I can't believe you're fixing that truck. Well, welcome to New England. There's a lot like this. Which is also part of why we use New Hampshire oil undercoating, because, well, it works and you don't end up with this. All right, and that's the needle gun I'm referring to. If you've ever seen one of these things in action, basically just drives these needles up and down, up and down, and up and down. And you just kind of lightly go around here, and it doesn't take a lot of force. It just works on its own, and you just go ahead and scale stuff. So let me show you. Let me get it plugged in. So yeah, it works good, and it's going to help you find any more holes that you're hoping not to find, but it works good. Yeah, so I know I was saying that it's going to reveal any spots you don't want to find, and apparently we did. So the rear mount for the gas tank, which was very crusty, and I was afraid that might happen, and it did, is also the rear shock mount, different than that one. This one needs to be replaced now. Check it out. So this was fully encased by just scaled up rust. And as you can see, she is completely rotted. The problem is with this one is it's not the shock mount, it's the fact that you got a fuel tank here. So now in order to replace this one, you've got to drop this fuel tank completely out of this truck, which, I mean, it's easy, it's accessible right now, but it's a lot more time and more labor and more parts. So we're gonna go ahead and reach out to the customer now. Let me get a price of this piece of the frame and a couple new tank straps and find out where we're at so we have an idea what this might grow into, just to give the customer an idea. Unfortunately, with rust repair, that is common practice. You're going to find stuff, it's going to grow, and sometimes you might find something and be like, it's not worth fixing. But I think if we don't find anything else, it doesn't grow beyond that piece, I think we can still salvage this thing for the customer. So I'll talk to him, let you know how we make out. Okay, I just talked to the customer, and we're going to move ahead because it ends up being, although this one looks solid at the top, now that I've got everything cleaned out of there and the bed's off the truck, there's rotten spots all through the whole bottom of this thing. So basically, I got to take the tank out. Before we order parts and move forward with it, we want to make sure that there's enough frame here on the truck to go ahead and weld the new pieces too. So regardless, I got to drop the fuel tank. Yes, the scope of work has definitely grown, but we'll get it. We're going to drop this down and figure exactly what we're dealing with. I just hope the fuel tank's not full. I'll find out in a second. All right, what you didn't see is me getting everything disconnected from this fuel tank that we're finally I think we're ready to remove the fuel tank. Transmission jack helps. Okay, fuel tank's out and out of the way. Clearly there's plenty of good frame here on this side of the truck to get to by the muffler. I think we can leave the muffler in place. It's this side I'm concerned with. As you can see, that's the, oh my God. Yeah, this is all hidden by the tank, unfortunately. But I'm gonna needle gun this and hammer on it and make sure we got enough good metal here to adhere in or cut and weld to. And same thing with this side and that side. I think we're good, but we're gonna double check. All right, here we go again. Yeah, the inside of the frame, which is just your C channel and then your thinner gauge steel here. Clearly there's a hole in here, and I was able to tap another hole here next to the existing hole. What happens is, as you can see in here, they completely fill with rust, dirt, debris. There's no way for it to get out except for these tiny drains that no one's gonna drain. So it collects down here and all rot. So we gotta basically vacuum all this out of there. Talk to the customer. This is the other cross member that clearly we gotta replace. Does she want a plate of steel scabbed into here? And to move forward with this, or are we abandoning this truck as it sits? So I got a call to make. All right, update, talk to the customer. We are gonna go ahead and remove this cross member. We're going to put a patch on the frame here. The bottom of the frame seems solid. The outside seems solid. So at least there's that. We can go ahead and at least seal up the inside here. I am gonna put an access and or a drain hole on both sides of the frame right here because that is insane. The amount of dirt and stuff that collects in there and then rots out. They just put these tiny ones in here and they just completely, it just rots it out. It's no good. All right, here's where we're gonna put the patch. And as you can see, it is solid. Go GM, solid full of dirt and mud and rust. So we're gonna go ahead and vacuum. We're gonna use our blowgun and get all that crap out of there so we can at least have a clean slate. All right, just so you can see like what we're ordering here. It's all dormant parts, pretty rugged stuff. This is the rear cross member. This is the piece that we're gonna replace right there. So we're gonna cut that out and weld this one in. We're gonna start on that one today because, well, we have that one. We ordered the other ones after we talked to the customer, and here are the replacement bed rails, also dormant. And we basically gotta take this heat shield off, we might be able to save this front one, cut these out, grind them clean, and then weld the new ones in as well for there as well. So I just kind of wanted to show you that as well. So yeah, this stuff, it gets expensive. That's why a lot of people are abandoning these trucks, is the cost to do this is not cheap. Before I go ahead and cut out the old cross member, this is the plate for the new cross member. You see my little marker mark there. I'm gonna mark where this is gonna sit because we're gonna cut this weld and all right out of here. I'm gonna take a little punch. I'm gonna put a prick punch there, both sides. So we know how to locate this. All right, in a nutshell, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it right here. I'm gonna cut it off here, and I'm gonna cut it off here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take my plasma torch and carefully cut around here so we can fit the new one in. Grind this all flush, and then weld everything up. Simple as that, right? And it's important to do one at a time. So your frame's not moving, and if you did, you were gonna cut them all out at the same time. Put an X brace, weld some braces in this thing, but we're doing one at a time, and the frame's fully supported right now. So, like I said, I'm just gonna cut this thing out of here and then go to it. All right, the main piece of that frame, what's left of it. All right, so now that the main piece is out of there, I can get my plasma cutter and I can carefully cut around this side and this side here, because it's both sides. Then we can fit that up and go ahead, it's gonna poke right through here. We're gonna weld it onto the new piece of metal, scab it onto the frame here, and at least that half will be good. Then we'll move on to the next and then the next. Actually, I'll probably skip this one and go to this one, cut it out, because I ordered the parts, they won't be in for a day or so, but we can go ahead and weld the frame patch on this thing. Weld that one on, and then work on the bed and get that welded on. All right, ta-da! Cut out of the frame. Now we're gonna clean up the frame where this plate's gonna go so we can go ahead and weld in the new cross member. Yuck. All right, so the rear cross member is all in place and clamped down and ready to start tack welding. So I'll go ahead and tack weld this thing along until we get this thing all secured. And then we'll take our clamps off and we'll do a full weld and burn this thing all in. And we can reattach our rear shock. And wow, we'll have one cross member done. That's why they tell you to cut out a bigger hole, because this just, it kind of slides in and then sets down onto the frame. So it kind of lines itself up. You do, like I said, you had that little mark there so you can put it back exactly where it was. as far as your original center line of the cross member. So, and then, like I said, you had a bigger hole here to cut your old one out. It doesn't matter because you weld this whole big plate on there and then the plate to the pipe. So everything is welded. So it's actually a fair amount of welding, and it should be pretty darn rugged when it's done. So I'm gonna get welding. All right, all tack welded in. Now that everything's in place, tack welded, I can go ahead full and weld this rear cross member, braces, the whole deal in place. I would move on to this one, but we're waiting on that one. We're waiting on this one, but I can still cut this one out and weld that frame patch in on the inside, so we'll be ready to go, and then jump over the bed. All right, fully welded, top and around 3/4 of it as much as I can go. I'm gonna use the lip to my advantage now, lift this thing up and get the bottom sections all fully welded in, and then this one is done. And we move on. It's easy as that, right? Just watch the video. The whole thing will be done in less than an hour. At the end of day one, we got the bed all off. We got stuff cut out. We got the frame, rear cross member completely cut out, and the new one installed, fully welded. I spent an hour and a half scaling the frame down. So the areas we're keeping, I really took some time and scaled it down. So when we oil undercoat this thing when we're done, it's gonna be nice. We gotta cut this one out and replace this one. It's on order, as well as this one. Tomorrow, we're gonna go ahead and cut this one out and pull all these lines and stuff out of the way so we can get that frame patch welded in. So when that part comes in, we can just get the new part welded right in there, as well as this one here. And then also tomorrow, we will work on the bed. I am dirty, tired. Good night. All right, good morning, everyone. It's the next day. I am clean for like the first hour. Let me show you what we're gonna work on today. All right, so I think we're gonna jump over from the frame onto the bed for now because it's in the shade, it's not in the sun. What we're gonna do, basically, is we're gonna replace at least 3 of these bed rails. The 4th one, if we can get the broken out studs, and I'm gonna show you a trick for doing that, if it works, then great. We're gonna take the torch, burn the heads off all these bolts, and try to save this heat shield if we can, and we'll reuse it if we can. But basically what you gotta do is you gotta figure out which bed rail goes to which. And I've laid them out, measured them, and this is the way they go. Now, what you gotta do is you wanna mark the center line of your holes and the edge of this bed rail. So you know exactly where this one's gonna go. So everything gets put back. You know what I mean? So when you put it on the truck, it will be bolted back on. Now, these are held on with spot rivets, spot welds. So you got to locate where these are, drill them, grind them, whatever you want to do to get them out so you can get rid of this old garbage. So just keep that in mind as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get the torch out and burn these off. Then we're going to mark our location of this. Probably get the welder out here. And what I'm going to do, so on a broken bolt, sometimes it works, you can get away with it, is if you weld a nut to the end of that broken bolt, then we can heat this with a torch and hopefully back it right out, because this one here is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. We'll clean it out and we'll oil undercoat it if we can save it, versus replacing it for nothing. We'll save the customer a little bit of labor. All right, heat shield is gone, but look at the moisture and stuff they hold and it rots. I may not even put that thing back on because it's pretty much useless. It's for a tailpipe, for crying out loud. All right, so that was not fun. This thing is so rotted that it actually has a few holes we're gonna have to, patch on the bed floor. And there's actually some pretty decent sized rot holes here, but there's only so much we can do with this thing, so we will do our best. All right, what we're gonna do now that that piece is out of there, we're gonna go ahead and set this piece in here where we marked it out, and it almost self-aligns right here, which is nice because it's centered on this rib in between the ribs. And then basically, we're gonna pick some ribs that have enough meat to them, and we're gonna drill holes, every other one or so. So therefore, we can just do spot welds like the factory, and this will just be spot welded back in. I'm not super concerned with the rust because this thing's getting a thorough coat of oil undercoating after this is welded in. So let me lay out my spot welds. We'll get this one all in. We'll move to the next one. All right, we've got a bunch of spots marked out. We're just gonna drill some 1/4-inch holes here. On the drill press, it'll make it easier. Then we're gonna go back, set it back on the bed, mark it down through the floor so I can grind those little spots out so we have a place to weld to. All right, I want to make something clear too, because I'm sure there's some haters out there that are gonna be like, oh my God, you didn't sandblast and take care of all the rust. You got to consider what you're working with. This bed is on its last leg, and we're just trying to get this. The only reason why we're doing the bed rails is because we had to pull the bed off to fix the frame. So we can't put the back on with those bed rails. You just can't. So we got to at least do that. But it needs a lot more work than that. It should be probably replaced in the very near future, or she may go with a flatbed. So with that being said, we're just trying to get her back on the road here. We are not restoring this truck. So that is not that level of work for this job here. So keep that in mind, haters. All right, one down, all tacked in. Good as factory. Yeah. Not much luck with these. All right, we're on the third one now, making progress. Get down welding there, and then if we can get the mounting bolts out of the front one, we can save that one. All right, now the bed rails are on, and we're gonna try to save this one. I'm gonna go ahead and take this 3/4 inch nut right here and try to fill the center of that with weld and take it out with my impact gun, hypothetically speaking. All right, so the old weld the nut trick worked. Welded the nut on that broken fastener, and we got it out. Woo. All right, success. We got the 3 middle cross members replaced. This one's fine. And we were able to get the broken bolts out of the front one. All there is some light surface rust on it. So we saved that customer probably, maybe not quite an hour labor, but we saved them some labor. So that is a good thing. Now, as you can see with the piles of rust, I'm gonna get some muscle and stand this thing up on its back right here. So I can go ahead and get this thing all air scaled down. It'll be ready for some touch-up paint and oil undercoating. Our pile's getting bigger. We can't pick all of it up, but I really feel like a rust, like the scaly rust, weigh-in is due between this stuff and the stuff on the floor. We should put it in a bucket and weigh it. All right, I got some young muscle coming down. Caleb, he's gonna help me stand this bed up now. All right, now that it's flipped up, there's a few more holes where some of the old rivets tore out that we can go ahead and weld from this side. And whatever's left, we're gonna massage it back down with a hammer. We're gonna prime them. Naturally, there's some rot here. We're gonna prime them and then put a little seam sealer on these, and then that's gonna be it for the inside of the bed. And then under here, we're gonna go ahead and air scale this whole thing and then oil undercoat it. All right, and what I'm gonna do now, I cleaned off the spot welds. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the spot welds with some primer, and then any holes or anything left, we're gonna hit them with a little seam sealer and call that good for this side. And then I'm gonna go ahead and air scale and oil undercoat this side. Then the bed is ready to go on. All air scaled off. You see the cross members in place now. Now I'm gonna go ahead and thoroughly oil undercoat this thing. It's even better than it being on the truck, because you can really get in everywhere and anywhere on this truck. It's gonna make it messy putting it back on, but it's gonna be a much better oil undercoating job. I went ahead and primed these spots. Now anywheres, oh, that's too big. Any other spots, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little seam sealer on these. All right, since we're back inside now, because the bed is ready to go for some oil undercoating, this one and this one are on order. However, I think we'll attack this one next and we'll get it cut out of here, because after we cut it out of here, we can go ahead and put the patch on the inside of this frame. So that's something else we can do right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and like gently tie up these brake and fuel lines, kind of pull them out of the way a little bit, just to get them a little further out of our way so we can get in here and start cutting. All right, forward fuel tank crossmember is out, and it was holding on by a prayer, as you can see. We'll add it to our pile. Oops, as I rip my shirt. And we are cleaning up the frame now where it was, and as you can see the hole, we're gonna go ahead and get that all cleaned up so we can scab on our patch panel. All right, now the crossmember is all out of there. Saved you about an hour and a half of grinding and cleaning all this mess up. Basically, we're gonna put a patch panel and make a patch panel to fit right there. So yeah, I'm gonna make a template out of cardboard and get some metal cut. All right, cardboard template made. Not the greatest looking piece of cardboard. I could have chosen something better than that. Now I gotta see if I get any metal so we can transfer this. All right, simple as that. Just, you know, trace this out and then cut it. Easy, right? All right, so before I weld the patch on, I had to blow the inside of the frame out again. You know, we've been scaling it, more stuff settled. My God, I got another bucket, I swear. And it's pretty clean. Probably the first time in its life, or since it was new, that we got this frame cleaned out, ready to put the oil to it. When we're done. All right, here we go. We're clamped in. Time to start welding. Whew. All right, patch is welded in. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but he's solid now. And we left the factory access hole here for the spring leaf hanger bolt, and then a drain right here. So yeah, throw a little paint on that baby and it's ready for a cross member. All right, it's the little things you don't want to forget, like these ground wires that were all rotted. We cut that off. I'm gonna put a new ground on there as well while I'm thinking about it before we oil, undercoat, and seal that all in. And obviously we cleaned up that ground. All right, guys, while I'm waiting for the other cross members to come in, now that we got that patch on there, we're gonna take our spiral compressed air here and start descaling and getting ready for the rest of the oil undercoating. All right, so I just got done descaling the entire frame and voids of this truck, and this is the dirtiest I've been in a very long time, as well as the shop. And we normally would not oil undercoat this thing in the shop. However, it's already in here. We're doing all this framework. It's on the lift. I just pulled the wheels off because we're gonna oil undercoat this thing before I even put the bed on. So we're just gonna do it in the shop, and I'll do it in little phases so we don't fill the whole shop with oil. We'll just do it in little bursts. And the bed we're doing outside, so that's not a big deal either. And I'm gonna spray that here next. So that'll be done and ready to go on. Whew. You're probably asking why are you leaving the floor so covered in rust and dirt and debris? Well, again, we don't oil undercoat in here normally, and then the mist and stuff for the oil will allow it to settle down onto that and help clean our floor. So it's actually, there's a method to this madness. All right, we're gonna oil undercoat the bed, and I'll show you what I'm using. I'm using the Lemmer S460, I think, pressure pot spray gun that we get from New Hampshire Oil Undercoating. This thing is a beast. It is a workhorse, and it works absolutely fantastic. You pair that with the New Hampshire Oil Undercoating Black Series with mouse out, and it is awesome. Not only is it black, it keeps the mouse out, it creeps, it goes into the rust, and it's actually better. And if you have surface rust, which this truck has plenty, to go ahead and penetrate. So I'll just set you down, and you can kind of see a little bit what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in all the voids first. Basically, I take my wand. Since the bed's off the truck, it's even easier, which is nice. We're gonna go in all these holes, up, down, over the fender wells, what's left of it, through all the new bed rails, and the very last thing we'll do is what I call lipstick, because we'll just cover the whole thing. And yeah, it'll be messy putting it back on, but this is the best way to coat it. All right, one piece to a very large, messy puzzle is done. So the bed is ready to go back on. It's all oil undercoated, and it does stay wet, so it will get all over you. However, the best thing you can do when this is done, the truck's all back together, is drive it down some dusty roads and get that film to build up on it. But it does work really, really well. Now, the other cross members come in. We're gonna go ahead and get those welded in, and the rest of that truck oil undercoated and then put back together. All right, since we got this whole thing scaled down, we're waiting on the two cross members in the front. We got our frame patch all welded on. I went ahead when we oil undercoated the bed, and I oil undercoated where the hitch is gonna mount. So we can go ahead and get that hitch mounted while we're waiting, and it's just a bolt-on application. Bolts on here, through bolts here, and bolts the existing bumper. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that put on because we're gonna oil undercoat the inside of that as well. All right, here we go. This is the Kurt hitch. It's just a standard towing hitch for the half-ton Chevy or GMC. It's not extreme heavy duty. It does have a 6,000-pound trailer tow weight, which is more than enough for her boat that she tows around, and a 600-pound tongue weight. And it comes with all hardware, so it's pretty straightforward. Bolt to the bumper, bolt into the existing nut on the frame, which is still there, and then a through bolt here. Comes with everything you need. Oh yeah, so got it up there. It'd be easier with two people, but I don't have two people. And be prepared, you oil undercoat, you're gonna get covered. All right, all in and torque down, 110 foot-pounds and 126. And we mark all our fasteners, as you can see, so you know they're tight. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna oil undercoat the inside of this when we do the rest of this truck as well. So this hitch won't rot out like that one did. All right, so I've got the front half all oil undercoated in what's left of the rocker over here as well. So if you pull the plugs out, we get into those voids, get inside the frame and everywhere. So the front half already, look at that. Doesn't it look much better? And yeah, I went heavy. This truck needs it. So you can tell we stopped right here because we need to do more welding and fab back here. At that point, we'll continue this process all the way back. Now, how much product did I use? Between the front half of this frame, inside out, the whole thing, rockers, the whole thing, underneath the cab, the body of the cab, and that bed, we're 2 gallons into it right now. Oh yeah, and I picked the best days temperature-wise to do welding repair. Yeah. It's important to note that this is a completely aftermarket part, unlike these that basically fit exactly where they should go. This one, there's some variance as to how high it can go. We know about where it's gonna go, but it's to how high it's gonna go. We're gonna take some measurements off the fuel tank to go ahead and know where we gotta put this thing between like the center of the straps and then the height of the bottom of the strap up to where it bolts in. So we gotta end up with it so the tank sits level, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. All right, so I forgot I had the tank sitting here, so that makes a perfect use case to go ahead and fit this and measure it up and level it up and get it to where it needs to be. So the tank is nice and level. So we went ahead and marked it. I gotta trim a little bit on the cross member, grind a little bit more, and then we can tack it in. Front fuel tank frame cross member. It's more of a fuel tank cross member than a frame cross member. I'd say these are more frame. But anyway, it is in and fully welded. I'm gonna go ahead and paint this section right here because it's gonna be covered by the tank. Hit it with some rattle can or some POR, whatever I got over there, just so it's black, because when you put the tank up in here, you won't be able to get to it. Also, once that's dry and this is all replaced, we're gonna put the oil undercoating here before we even put the tank up, so it'll be all coated. So, next, this one, which is just like that one. Cut it, inside, outside, fit in the new piece. It's a lot like the other one. Just a lot of welding. Won't be too hard to cut this one out. All right, time to fire the plasma up and clean out the rest of it. You can go over there with the rest of your brothers. And now we can cut out the actual tubing from the frame and do the same thing we did back here. All right, I got everything all laid out, grinded off. The inside plate's ground down. Everything is ready to slide in. Then we're gonna line it up and just get it tacked in place. I mean, it's essentially what we did on this one here. Basically the same thing. So I won't go as in depth on it. So same thing. All right, all 3 cross members are in. Now we unhooked our exhaust. We're gonna put it back in the hanger because we gotta weld the 2 hangers back on the frame here. On the new cross member, so the exhaust will have something to hang off from. So I'm gonna get that marked right now so we can go ahead and get those welded in. All right, exhaust hangers are welded back on. We're gonna clean this up real quickly, blow it down, hit it with some a little bit of paint. Not that it matters, it is all painted. It's just our bare welds. So we can go ahead and get this thing oil undercoated and put the tank back in and then the bed. All right, now that we got everything touched up paint-wise, well, that's drying. Then we're gonna go ahead and get the shock hook back up. We're gonna regroom our wiring and brake lines back where they go. And then everything will be good and dry. We can really start getting the oil undercoating in here, at least where the tank's gonna go. So we can go ahead and put the tank back up and then finish it. So I'm only gonna focus on the oil undercoating in this area around the tank. Then we'll put the tank up, then I'll finish oil undercoating. All right, we are all oil undercoated inside the frame, outside the frame, anywhere the tank is gonna touch. So now we can put the tank in. All right, now that we got the fuel tank in here, we're getting everything connected again. And like I said, we're even using the factory hangers wherever we can. Because the aftermarket stuff is aftermarket stuff. So making all our fuel line connections. On the electrical connections, we'll go ahead and put some dielectric grease on these so we make a good weather tight seal. So yeah, we just go, I don't want to say a little above and beyond, but we try to go as far as we can with these things. And we'll do some oil undercoating on here. It's gonna get dirt piled up in here no matter what. So you at least put some oil undercoating, so at least you could blow that dirt off and the time comes and you gotta change the sending unit. All right, oil undercoating is officially done. And it took almost 3.5 gallons from start to finish, bed to frame. Now this is beyond what we would do for, obviously, for a regular oil undercoating. This is very heavy. It's laid on very heavy. The frame, everything is very crusty. We got the entire underneath of the body. Up here, what's left of the rockers, we got into those. The other side actually has solid rockers. Complete front end all the way, dropped the skid plate and did all that area too. So yeah, here's the underside. I'll show you the top side in a minute. But now that the oil undercoating is done, we can clean our rusty mess, and that'll actually sweep up and clean up some of the floor. And then we're gonna get away in. All right, here's the pile. I think I need a shovel, not a dustpan, but I had to get a bigger bucket, 5-gallon bucket. Any guesses? Drop a comment. Oh, and as always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Tell us what you want to see. We're doing a repair job on this truck here today. It could be powder coat and fabrication. It could be just about anything, custom metal art. We do it all. So tell your friends. All right, I don't want anyone to accuse me of putting a brick or something in here, but anything that came off that truck, it's going in this bucket. And I think it's gonna fill that 5-gallon bucket. And I bet, I don't know, man, this is gonna be heavy. I don't know about postal scale. We have to bring the big scale down. All right, there it is, just shy of a 5-gallon bucket. And I know with my postal scale, that's gonna be too heavy. I need to bring the big boy scale. All right, it's on the scale. Any guesses? Oh boy, that's 58 pounds. You don't believe me? I'm taking the bucket off right now. There's a back brace to do this. Back to 0. Back on. Oh, not centered. Yeah. Oh. Back to 58 pounds. We fixed the rust bucket. We did. All right, there it is. Top view of the oil undercoating. Looks a little different, doesn't it? Oh man, it's like a different vehicle now. My God. And yes, we're cleaning the back of the cab and the window and all that before we put the bed on, of course. All right, guys, it's a new week. It's Monday. The truck is completely ready to go and put our bed back on now. All the scrap garbage is there. I've got my skid steer working again, so it makes maneuverability way better as far as sneaking in here and getting the bed on the truck. So I'll get some help, lay the bed back down again, and we'll come in here and scoop it up with the skid steer and get it in position, and probably just lift the lift up to the bed until we get it close to where we want, and then we can get the bolt holes aligned. So it is time to put the bed on. And then all that's left after that is we'll back the truck out and do some touch up in the doors, under the hood, all that stuff as far as oil undercoating goes. Then we'll give it a bath and it's good to go. Oh, unfortunately I couldn't get a helper, but I got it down with my back brace on, don't worry. We got the skid steer here. I'm gonna come in just like the tractor did, just that one's a little more maneuverable. We're gonna scoop it up, we're gonna drive in here, square up. I'm not gonna record it because I'm trying to operate that. And just get it setting over the truck as close as we can, and then take a look and see if we can't come up underneath it. All right, so we're getting it in position now, and I'm gonna start lowering it onto the truck. All right, so now that I've got it close to position, I'm gonna come up with the lift now into the bed itself. That way I can kind of watch things a little better. All right, it's on the truck, sitting on its own weight. I'm gonna go ahead and go up with the lift so we can get the holes lined up and make sure we don't have any fasteners or wires or any place that they shouldn't be. All right, actually all 8 bed bolts went right in. I mean, lined right up. So we did a good job as far as lining our bed rolls up. Then we got to touch up a little bit of that oil undercoating that where we got into it, or it was vertical for so long that in that 95-degree heat a little bit ran. So we're gonna touch that up. We got our new hitch in there, all 3 cross members in there, the fuel tank's back in there with new straps, oil undercoated, and the bed is back on. Really all that's left is we're gonna reconnect the fuel door, put the tailgate back on, the wheels, tires, back it out, and then touch it the oil undercoating, and that is it. So I'll touch back with you in a few minutes once we get the oil undercoating all touched up, and we can wrap this video up. One other thing I did want to mention, before we go ahead and put the spare tire back up, we're going to blow that off really well. We're going to check the tire pressure, and we're going to oil undercoat that wheel as well because, well, it's in rough shape. All right, I want to mention this. I almost forgot to record it, but basically the last step of the oil undercoating is to get up into here. Any voids inside the body cavities or the bottom of the doors, like this one's rotted, we pull the weather stripping down and we get in all these areas here and your common areas there. So, yeah, she's done. So with that being said, this is done. Other than giving this thing a good thorough wash on the outside, which doesn't look like it's had one in a very long time. But anyway, we're gonna give this thing a good pressure wash to kind of get that film, all the dust, dirt, rust off from the body itself. And then it's done. It's off to the customer. So hopefully we gained a couple, 2-3 years out of this truck for this customer. It's nonstop. They're old trucks. You're gonna have brake line issues, fuel line issues. It's just the way it goes when you drive the old equipment. But with that being said, we brought this thing back from, no pun intended, a rust bucket, and able to patch and or repair the frame properly so they can tow their boat again, including the new hitch. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hit that like and subscribe. It means a ton to us. I'm pretty dirty. And check out our playlist, our how-to playlist, some of our build playlists. We recently just gave away our shop truck. Like, he's on his way now to pick it up. We're always doing something crazy here. So we appreciate all you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep following along. Keep watching. Take care, guys. Scott, Flip and Customize. All right, and this is just for anyone who thought I didn't actually give it a bath and get it all nice and cleaned up. Ready for delivery.